LHT. What do we have here? We have a 2008 S2000 CR. I'm going to get out of the way so you can look at the car. This customer came all the way from Texas. He had arranged to ship the car to us, but his shipper let him down, so he decided to drive it. I mean, look how nice this thing is. So again, we're going to do our full package on this, full S2000 craft works package like you see we do. He's going to get a lot of blackout parts. As you see, he's got the black wheels. This has the black lettering on the CR. He wants a few of the things doing black, so we're going to kind of show you along the way what we do here. So as a surprise, I'm going to go take it over to our body shop and say, do this and make it super nice and as fast as you can. So Keith, this is your first surprise. Alright, so when Keith dropped off his car, he also dropped off this, which had this in it. Fantastic. George, you're going to be forced to drink a Starbucks coffee.
Thank you, Keith.
Over on George's bench right now.
A little bit of lube on the O-rings to make them go in nice and not scratch or kink or anything like that.
This is the 06 and up fuel rail. This is the S2000 CR, but most of the components are the same as the 06 and up. So this is a returnless system. We've talked about this before. Typically 420, 430 is all the horsepower it supports before it starts becoming restrictive. These are the Grams 1000 cc injectors that we use on all of our kits. Great injectors, great idle, very, very easy to tune. So here we are at this point, still taking things apart. He's putting the injectors in the rail. This manifold is getting changed. He's actually getting one of our updated manifolds. It's the larger manifold. Basically, the plenum is about 35% larger. The runners are pretty much the same, except we poured them out, and then the entryways we open up to make larger. They should be back actually today. He wanted it powder coat and wrinkle black, so when it comes in, I'll go ahead and film that and show you some of the parts. What are you writing?
Prices.
You booking in people?
I'm trying. I'm really trying.
So if you can't get a hold of us on the phone, it's because Esther's not answering it. See, it's always good to blame someone else.
It's not my fault.
She's trying. She's booking people in. We're booking up pretty quick, but by having a schedule, that lets everybody's car come in and get worked on that day. We're not a shop that you drop it off outside and we work on it whenever. That doesn't happen. So the car is actually driven all the way from Texas, so we have been doing the other little jobs while it cools down because it's actually fairly warm still. But transmission has to come off to do the clutch. He is opting for one of our flywheels too. So the CR has black exhaust tips and the customer really wants to keep these. We're doing our LHT twin loop muffler, and the way this clamps on is it slides into this area here, and then there is a little bolt that goes through that the exhaust has a tab that bolt goes through. Now this is 2.5 inch, which our exhaust is 2 3/4 into dual 2.5s, and 2.5s don't fit in there at all. It's not going to happen. This is our next size down, 2 1/4. This is too small. We could weld a tab on there, but the problem is vibration. This tip would end up doing whatever it wants and it would be crooked, and then it would look goofy. You'd see a car going down the road and one tip's like this, one tip's like that. That ain't gonna happen. So what I'm gonna do is take 2.5, cut it down. I'm actually gonna split it and then neck it down to the exact size, then weld up the seam. You're not gonna see it because it's actually inside this tip. But again, something that the customer really wanted, so we're gonna try and make it happen for him. So now, using a quick calculation using the pi equation, we took this much out of it. We're gonna pinch that down in the vise. Hopefully it'll be round, kind of here by that. Perfect. So this is the little tab that sits off where the muffler bolts to. The muffler slides over that. The bolt goes through here and attaches to a nut that's welded inside the tip. So basically need to recreate one of those. There's a piece welded on, and I slotted it just like the Honda piece. That way it has a little bit of wiggle room. This goes on That slides in here. That fits on. Bolt goes back in. Factory OEM tip. We sell this flywheel already prepped. As you see, the surface that we put on it, we put a much rougher surface so it helps break in. This is what the flywheel would look like as you buy it from Clutch Masters. So if you buy from us, we put this finish on it. We also install the bearing, makes it a little bit easier. If you buy our Clutch Masters clutch and flywheel combo, we put them together in one box, ship them for free, saves you a lot less hassle. You're ready to go, you got the right combination to go. That's the same combination we use on almost every single S2000 that leaves the shop.
We've got the FX300 installed onto the Clutch Masters flywheel. Of course, the bearing is a Nichi. We've told you about those before. And this is the last time you'll see this good looking clutch.
You know, I thought about it. We have that digital fishing scale here. Why not weigh it? Maybe it's lighter than the factory one too. Let's get a before and after.
We'll put this on too because this is going to be on there if you're running it.
That's true. All right, factory header in factory configuration. Weight test number 1. Let's see what we got. What do we got, George?
Still moving. We just call that 2313 ounces.
Yeah, 2313. All right. Skunk 2 header. Let's see where we are. What are we looking?
13 pounds 15 ounces.
Wow, look at that. I didn't expect that, did you?
No.
We was what, 2313 to 13?
Yeah.
That's 10 pounds. Everybody's trying to lose weight for 2018. We're doing it with headers.
Oh, he's got the red valve cover factory. I've got everything pretty much off of there ready to come off. And there's the black valve cover installed. I really prefer the black, especially on the yellow car. I don't really like the red and the yellow together. But then again, every S2000 has a red valve cover, so why not change it up a little bit, right?
Even though it's a low mileage car, these all get kind of corroded over time. So we're going to go ahead and replace it with these nice stainless button heads. And I'll put a 6mm washer under that so it looks nice. Alright, I'll go ahead and turn Taylor Swift off. Especially because I tagged her in the Swiss Tracks video and she never responded or liked it. So I'm not going to play her music on the video. I don't know why I tagged her. I typed in Swiss Tracks and her name came up and I was like, hey, never know. Alright, so we're putting in a new serpentine belt. This car only has 27,000 miles and the serpentine belt is probably okay, but it is 10 plus years old. And like we said before, once the supercharger goes on, this belt's a lot harder to replace, so why not put a brand new one on now? Nice thing about a CR is it doesn't have any soft top area here or any of that plastic tray, so changing the fuel pump is a blast. This is the Walbro pump. See, it's a little bit longer. It's about 3/4 of an inch longer overall. A little bit of trimming. I'm not going to go into too many details because it's kind of boring. A little bit of trimming, it'll go right back in that factory housing and give you about 430, 440 horsepower worth of pumping pressure. And here we are, there's a pump installed. See, it fits right back in the factory housing. Don't forget to plug this on. I gotta tell you, one time I did put it in, didn't forget to do this, and it wasn't on a CR, it was one that I had to take the whole back apart. It wasn't much fun. Especially turning the key, listening for the fuel pump. Realized I didn't hear it. Check this, check that, check the other. Yeah, gotta take it back apart. Okay, so here's the manifold. Just got it back from powder coating. You know we use for powder coating, AB powder coating. They were good enough to get this done exactly how we wanted it. Wrinkle black. This is one with a 30% bigger plenum. Can't really see in this light, but it has our name on it. Has some water on there from washing it. And you see it's all ported out nicely. And it's all blended in there. I'll try and put some pictures up of the inside plenum before I put it all together. I've got some good still shots of that, but you can kind of see it in there. So this flows quite a bit more than the factory one. So we just got the rest of our black parts back. You can see the piping is satin also. This is the cover. We ordered the black housing kit and this is usually silver. Well, we had this done epoxy black, which is a satin. It looks very close to the satin on the blower. And one of the things I thought would be cool is to sand these letters because they're raised. I masked this up. If you want to know why I left this part aluminum, well, where the pipes are attached, if you tighten those and crank them down, I didn't want them to damage the black finish anywhere. So, and I didn't want to leave this lip silver because then when you look down it you'd see a silver part. So that way the pipe will come up here, the clamping is here, this part will still look black. But I kind of like that. Kind of like that lettering. It looks really cool. This is what the customer requested, so we did the end tanks black top and bottom. You know, it's the LHT radiator, it has the LHT logo, and of course it runs the dual spall fans.
We've got our satin black radiator in here. Got skunk 2 radiator hoses. Now if anyone's installed radiator hoses on an S2000, I'm sure you know it'd be a little bit easier with the intake manifold off, right? So that's what I did.
So as well as getting the larger intake manifold, he is getting a throttle body. You might have seen on the car that we did for New York, the 470 horsepower car. We take the factory S2000 throttle body and bore it out. We actually increased the size by 4 millimeters. There is a bunch of throttle bodies out there on the market, but I really like the OEM one. We have zero issues with this. Basically making it larger with a larger plate. Everything else is 100% OEM. It's the way to go. He's getting a different color though, so I'm going to show you that coming up. So we've talked about these tubes before. We have actually a small collection of these building up. This comes out the side like we talked about. When you're looking at the tube this way, it sits there and comes out the side.
Got the intercooler all in. The customer wanted T-bolt clamps down here. So there they are. Everything's in, ready to start putting this bumper back on.
There we go. Got bolts for the future. Alright, so there are the new Allen bolts installed. I actually like the way that looks. What do you think? It just gives it a little bit of definition and doesn't make it look like it was all painted in one go. So, Keith, I hope you like that. The problem is trying to fit this in here. This is obviously the first area that you would think of, but the problem is the height of that with the filter just isn't going to work. The hood ain't going to close. So what George came up with the idea is, look, we have a big gaping hole right there that nothing goes in there, and he's drawing this template here. So what he's going to do is bolt this to that aluminum, and then the aluminum is going to bolt to the 2 tabs on our radiator. And of course this is going to be black, so it'll disappear, but it's going to go to those 2 tabs right here and sit in that hole right about there. So just remove the fitting out of here. What was a PCV right here. What I'm going to do is cut that hose end off and weld on a -10, and then we can use all AN fittings to his can. Alright, so basically cut the factory thread off and welded my -10 on. I know someone's going to comment, they make a piece that does that, here's the link, blah 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 blah. Guess what, I don't have that piece, and I have the ability to weld and cut and grind and whatever. Got to paint this black, and problem I have is this head here is going to be hard to get a wrench in without scratching the valve cover, and then when I paint this black it's going to scratch. So I just came up with a fantastic idea. So once the washer is on here, I figured out where this tightens up finger tight. I just made a little mark right here. I'm going to drill a little hole in there, not too far through that it goes through, something that I can put an Allen bolt or an Allen key in there nice and tight and use it as a wrench and tighten it, and then that hole will point towards the back of the car. So you won't see it, but it's not going to leak. What an ingenious idea, do you think? No? You know what? I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway. There's my little hole right there after painting. It stops right there. Put my little key in there. That way I can tighten it. Super creative scene coming up. Past the welder and the bottle. We use Miller products. In fact, we've got 3 Miller welders here. Now, if we could get rid of all these cables, it's like the worst thing about welding. Whenever we move one of our machines, 3 cables to drag around. If they could make each one of these Bluetooth, that would be fantastic. So we're modifying our mufflers to accept the factory tips. I showed you earlier how we're using the factory tips, which are here. And this piece that goes in there, I showed you was making that. We're making it so that these will sit on our muffler and stick out just the right amount. We're going to actually set them back a little bit more than where the factory, when I say set them back, make them stick out a little more, because they tend to disappear under the bumper. I kind of like it where, when you look at it from the top here, you know, you see about this much of the tip sticking out, where the factory one tends to be like this. Okay guys, so we had the coldest night of the year. Woke up this morning and it was 31. I'm sure to some of you guys that live up north, 31 is not that big of a deal, but to those people in Florida, that is pretty cold. Luckily we have heat. This is the temperature in the shop right now. It's 52. Put the heat on. Let's get up to 68, then we can feel like we know what we're doing. Right now my hands are cold, feet are cold. The S2000's cold. An S2000 CR was never meant to be sitting in 52 degree temperatures. So we're gonna let it warm up. George isn't here yet. I'm the first one here. I put the heat on. Put the heat on in Esther's office, so you know what chicks are like. Unless it's within 1 degree, they're either hot or cold. So kicking on all the big lights. We'll be fully functional in about 10 degrees. He wanted the back section black. And what's weird about these is, this throws us off, is they always have this little plastic piece just on the passenger side. So when we're centering the tips here, at first glance, it looks like you're closer here because of this. But then when you look at the gap here, it's correct. So what we do is we try and visually center them. We don't measure, but we take this into reference. So as you look at this, it looks centered in that pocket.
Yeah, that's good to me.
Yeah. It's a shame that stainless is going to go away. Let me show you what it looks like. So you see what I mean about this plastic piece here? It actually throws you off because that black sticks out. It looks like that gap is actually smaller than what it is. But when you look at the overall arch of the bumper, it looks good. So we're going to take it off, send this out. The mufflers are getting done black, and then the tips will put back on. I don't even need to tell you what this is. So it's refinished in Rio Yellow Pearl, and I redid the letters. I know you was asking about doing the letters black. Trying to get those perfectly black and not make the letters go crooked is going to be really tough. And you know, I like it like this, so hope you like it. If you don't, you can refinish the letters. But alright, this is how it's looking. It's almost put together. There's the breather can. Showed you that. Those, of course, we did black lines. Something else, a little bit of LHT TLC. There's our battery tie down, but we decided, this was something we used to do back in the old days, but it was very time consuming. We did the letters yellow filled. So our battery master cylinder brace. It's not a battery cylinder brace, is it? Alright, so look what we have here. There's our ceramic coated exhaust now. The mufflers are ceramic coated black. I actually kind of like it. The tips have to go on. It's kind of cool. It's like a satin finish. Used to it being this cold in here. It's 61 now. It dropped. Can't really tell by the graph, but it's about 12.4, 12.5. Right here, 12.7. We shut it down, so we're uploading. Added a little bit of fuel. Gonna run it again. Always try and stay on the safe side. Look at this. We're not used to this temperature so low. It's usually in the 90s. Wow, look at that. Alright, so we are all done. We are freezing cold. My hands are cold. I need a heater for my laptop to type. Final number 430, 274. Only revving it to 82 because right at the top we're getting to a point where we're running out of fuel. I'm up high on my duty cycle due to this having the returnless system. Typically 420, 430 is really where I've found the limit of where I like to tune. It's going to need a return system to go any further. Usually we take these to 84, 85, so it's making more horsepower at 82. I'll see if I can find a graph and compare it to show you. Alright, so I found pretty much the exact same setup. This is a 2008. It was a little warmer when we did this car, but it kind of just gives you an idea. We're not doing the exact same car, so we're not putting scientific proof on this manifold, but the blue line is this car with the manifold, and it looks like it's picked up all the way through the mid-range. It kind of stays the same there and picks up. It's about 13 and 14 horsepower up top, and we're not revving it as far. As I say, we're revving it to 82, where typically we rev these cars to 84, so I think the gains actually would be higher. If we was to take it to 84, I think it would be a solid 20 gain there, but that's pretty good. Blue line is the manifold and throttle body. The engine bay looks so good right now. That definitely brings the yellow in. See the master cylinder brace now? It's in. It's got the yellow letters. The yellow there. Oh, the yellow battery even matches. And the LHT battery tie, which is the yellow inlay. So that was good. Look good? Look good?
Yeah.
Happy with that?
Yeah.
Perfect.